my truth seekers at what y'all want to do. Welcome back to your favorite podcast, Truth Talks. I am your host, Krazyzie.
What's happening with it, man? I'm the bum, Keith G.
And y'all know we got another one for you, another interesting topic. But for the simple fact, it's interesting because we're going to be talking about one of my favorite hobbies and pastimes. Also happens to be my occupation.
Right.
The music industry.
And someplace we don't want to go.
I was just about to say, but unfortunately, we're not going to be speaking about the music business in a good light tonight because there's nothing good about these things that we're about to reveal to you this evening.
Oh, that's real, man.
Oh, yeah, it's real deep, man. It's real deep.
Even before we get started, too, man, it's too many names to mention. But, with the comment board, but we appreciate every comment that's going down, even the dudes who ain't got no sense and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But thank you to all the support to everyone we've been getting, you know what I'm saying, from the comments and everything like that, man. We'd be remiss if we, mention one name. It's about 6,000 comments on there. So, but one of these days we'll take a show and do that. But keep supporting and keep watching this show, man. Keep seeking the truth.
Yes, indeed. You know what I'm saying? And I also want to make it clear, that we are not trying to discourage any aspiring artists at all.
Nah.
That's not our intention. Our intention is simply to wake up the minds and open the eyes of everybody that may be aspiring to make it in this business, and just to give them a forewarning of some of the evil things that has been going on within the music scene and behind the music scene as well. So getting right down to the issue at hand, I just want to say to all my fellow hip-hop artists and hip-hop fans that we have been had again.
Damn.
We've been bamboozled.
Hoodwinked.
Let us stay, I tell you.
All the Malcolm X words.
Once again, you know what I'm saying? Now, a few of y'all might have already heard about this, about how the music industry has very close ties with the private prison system.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because the music business has invested millions of dollars in the private prison system.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You heard it correctly. Again, the music business and the entertainment business in general, meaning people who control the media, the music industry, and also
publication,
private prisons.
Yeah, magazines, all that.
Somebody sent me an article, I think it was 6 or 7 years ago.
Right.
And I read this article, bro, and I was absolutely shocked. Very shocked.
Talk to us.
In fact, I want to read this letter. This article, but it's actually a letter that was written by somebody that was a decision maker at a major label.
Shot caller.
And he said, he was invited to a very special meeting about the future of hip hop back in 1991.
Okay.
So here's what he said. This is how the events went down at the meeting.
Break it down, man.
Okay, just ride with me, okay? Because I'm reading this. This is real. Hold on, wait. Let me try to.
Way out article too, man. You know what I'm saying? When he told me on telephone about this, wait till y'all hear this, G. You know what I'm saying? It's mesmerizing how these people do. You know what I'm saying? The plans that they got for how far they will go. You know what I'm saying? To make people, actually slip in society. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so it says. And the title of the letter is The Secret Meeting That Changed Rap Music and Destroyed a Generation. Damn.
So it says, hello. After more than 20 years, I finally decided to tell the world what I witnessed in 1991, which I believe was one of the biggest turning points in popular music and ultimately American society. I have struggled for a long time weighing the pros and cons of making my story public, as I was reluctant to implicate the individuals who were present that day. So I've simply decided to leave out the names and all the details that may risk my personal well-being and that of those who were, like me, dragged into something they weren't ready for.
Damn.
Hold on, let me...
So we gonna tell the story.
We gonna tell the story. We ain't scared.
You know what I'm saying? What they gonna do?
They after us, not just playing.
Look, that black van.
So he says, between the late 80s and early 90s, I was what you may call a decision maker with one of the more established companies in the music industry. I came to Europe in the early 80s and quickly established myself in the business. The industry was different back then, since technology and media weren't accessible to people like that, like they are today. The industry had more control over the public and had the means to influence them any way it wanted.
Right.
This may explain why in early 1991, I was invited to attend a closed-door meeting with a small group of business insiders to discuss rap music's new direction. Rap music's new direction.
Yeah.
Little did I know we would be asked to participate in one of the most unethical and destructive business practices ever seen.
Crazy.
So this was the meeting. The meeting was held at a private residence on the outskirts of Los Angeles. I remember about 25 to 30 people were being there. Right. Most of them familiar faces. Speaking of those I knew, we joked about the theme of the meeting, as many of us did not care for rap and failed to see the purpose of being invited to a private meeting to discuss the future of hip hop.
Talk to him.
Among the attendees was a small group of unfamiliar faces who stayed to themselves and made no attempt to socialize beyond their circle. Based on their behavior and formal appearances, they didn't seem to be from our industry. Our casual chatter was interrupted when we were asked to sign a confidentiality agreement preventing us from publicly discussing the information presented during the meeting. Needless to say, this intrigued, in some cases, disturbed many of us. The agreement was only a page long, but very clear on matters and consequences, which stated that violating the terms would result in job termination immediately. We asked several people what this meeting was about and the reason for such secrecy, but could not find anyone who had the answers for us. A few people refused to sign and walked out. Nobody stopped them. I was tempted to follow, but curiosity got the best of me.
That's right.
A man who was part of the unfamiliar group collected all the agreements from us. So now it's going to get to the good part because the meeting about to start.
Talk to him, G.
It says, quickly after the meeting began, hold on one second.
Get your popcorn, y'all.
Popcorn, get your pistol. No,
for real though.
Quickly after this meeting began, one of the industry colleagues, who shall remain nameless like everybody else, thanked us for attending. He then gave the floor to a man who only introduced himself by first name and gave no other details about his personal background. I think he was the owner of the residence, but that was never confirmed. He briefly praised all of us for the success we had achieved in our industries and congratulated us for being selected as part of this small group of decision makers. At this point, I began to feel slightly uncomfortable in the strangeness of this gathering. The subject quickly changed as the speaker went on to tell us that the respective companies we represented had invested in a very profitable industry, which could become even more rewarding with our active involvement.
Damn.
He explained that the companies we worked for had invested millions into the building of privately owned prisons, and that our positions of influence in the music industry would actually impact the profitability of these investments. Then he says, I remember many of us in the group immediately looking at each other in awe and confusion. At the same time, I didn't know what a private prison was, but I wasn't the only one. Sure enough, someone asked what these prisons were and what any of this had to do with music. We were told that these prisons were built by privately owned companies who receive funding from the government based on the number of inmates. The more inmates, the more the government would pay these prisons. It was also made clear to us that since these prisons are privately owned, as they become publicly traded, we'd be able to buy shares. Most of us were taken back by this. Again, a couple of people asked what this had to do with us. At this point, my industry colleague who had first opened the meeting took the floor again and answered our questions. He told us that since our employees had become silent investors in this prison business, it was now in their interest to make sure that these prisons remain filled. Our job would be to help make this happen by making music which promote criminal behavior, rap being the music of choice. He assured us that this would be a great situation for us because rap music was becoming an increasingly profitable market for our companies. And as employees, we'd also be able to buy stocks in these prisons. Immediately, silence came over the room. You could have heard a pin drop. I remember looking around to make sure I wasn't dreaming and saw half of the people with dropped jaws. My daze was interrupted when someone shouted, "Is this a fucking joke?" At this point, things became chaotic.
Right.
Two of the men who were part of the unfamiliar group grabbed the man who shouted and attempted to remove him from the house. A few of us, myself included, tried to intervene. One of them pulled out a gun, and we all backed off. They separated us from the crowd, and all four of us was escorted outside. My industry colleague who opened up the meeting earlier hurried out to meet us and reminded us that we had signed an agreement and would suffer the consequences of speaking out about this publicly or even those who attended the meeting.
Damn.
I asked him, why was he involved with something so corrupt? And he replied, it's bigger than the music business and nothing we can do. No, it's bigger than the music business and nothing we want to challenge without risking consequences. We all protested as we walked back into the house. I remember word for word the last thing he said. It's out of my hands now. Just remember you signed an agreement. He then closed the door behind him. The men rushed us to our car and actually waited until we drove off the property.
Damn.
So this meeting, bro.
Now that's a lot for a meeting right there.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, and this person later on, he said, you know, this person actually ended up leaving the music industry after this happened. With a few years after this, he ended up leaving the music industry.
Okay.
And he'd say he just like, you know, over the years, he just felt guilty because he said as he sat back and he watched these plans come to a reality
over 2 decades.
He sat back and was like, wow, they really pulled it off.
Yeah.
They really pulled this off. He was like, they were told not to sign any more political rappers, any more rappers that had messages in their music.
No positivity.
It was all to be gangster rap music that they promoted and put out.
So if you wonder where Brand Nubians went, where Pro Righteous Teachers went, where Public Enemy went, where KRS-One went, and all sorts of groups like that was talking, even Queen Latifah and Moni Love and those, you know what I'm saying? It's a back door.
Yeah, anything that was harmless, fun rap, you know, anything that had a message in it had to go.
Yeah, that's why if you even notice though,
we talk about that all the time.
Even be brief with it, you know what I'm saying? Those charms that came out like maybe 1988, 89, the African charms, those they lasted for about 2 years and they disappeared real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Now, after reading all this, you know, it actually made me feel a few different ways. The first emotion I felt was shocked because I was definitely taken back by this, just knowing the level of evil that's involved by even thinking of a plan like this. You know what I'm saying? The second emotion I felt was anger. Anger because it's not enough for them to exploit our culture and make all the money off of it. Mm-hmm. Because let's keep it real. The industry has never been favorable towards the artists. Never. But they're going to go beyond the artists to get the artist to influence and lure in the consumer, which they knew at the time were mainly minorities.
Yep.
In other words, keep promoting gangster rap so that the youngsters will be influenced by them, which in turn will incite them to want to act like them. And it's a very good chance they'll end up in their prison.
Yeah.
So they're getting paid twice. They're getting paid from the artists they signing, and then they're getting paid from the people that these artists influence that goes to prison trying to be like these artists.
Yeah.
So they making a killing.
A killing.
They're using the music business to promote their private prison business.
My man is right there talking that right. 1988, a man named Tom Beasley, man. That's the co-founder of the corrections for Corporation of America. That's the CCA. You know what I'm saying? Excuse my French. I'm reading this thing right there real quick. It's the CCA. So in 1988, he founded that, and this is in straight straight concert with the same thing. So it's like the music business. You do what you do on your side. And over here with the correction facilities, we're going to do on this side because in 1970, there was 500 prisons. You know what I'm saying? Only 500 prisons in the United States. To this day, there's 1,700 prisons right now. That means big business. I'm talking about that done flippled over. You know what I'm saying? If flippled over is a word. Because they're making a lot of money off of these things per inmate. You know what I'm saying? So getting with this, with the same thing of the music, it all went hand in hand, and we just partying at the same time.
So us as the artists is the tool they use.
Yeah.
The music is the bait. Yep. And the young consumers are the prey. It's a cold game.
Cold game, bro.
Cold
you know what
game.
I'm saying?
Then I feel sad. Sad because everything we seem to try to create, we always seem to give it away. We're always being tricked and deceived into believing that they have our best interests at hand when clearly they never have and they never will. They never will have our best interests at hand. It's blow after blow after blow after blow. And they can't even get up.
Yeah. They
always find some kind of way to scheme, take, and just make sure we stay in our prospective places.
Even look how they flip it even right now. Like right now, what we saying to a young dude that's a young rapper, he would, the way it's set up, it would look for him to hate us because it's like, what you trying to stop my business for? Of making the money. You know what I'm saying? An underprivileged dude that never had nothing and he trying to get some snaps, but he just doing this thing off of ignorance and they know that. So it's dudes like us that be trying to say something like this and they'll have the rapper dude looking at us like we the fool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Trying to rain on his parade when we ain't trying to do nothing like that. We trying to tell y'all, look here, they making $1.7 billion a year on this private prison system. Out of the 2.2 million people that's incarcerated, you know what I'm saying, in the United States. And by the way, United States got more people incarcerated than anybody in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Out of those 2.2 people, 2.2 million, 20%, you know what I'm saying? That's us here. They got us caged up.
Man, you know, some of these things we've known just by being eyewitnesses, you know, from the decline, like we just talking about, from the decline of politically conscious rappers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or anything positive just don't sell these days. And they're the reason. It's not because the music is not good or these artists done get too old or they done all of a sudden forgot how to rap.
Yeah.
You know, it's because they want to push their agenda again. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to that agenda. They want to push their agenda. We mention it all the time. And the reason they're trying to keep it a young man's game, as they say, is because they want to manipulate the young artists.
Right.
Give them money, keep them quiet. Whereas the older generation, you know, we used to be like that, but the difference is we've grown up. We've gotten wise.
Yep.
We've studied, you know what I'm saying? And we're not going for that old bullshit y'all used to tell us, you know what I'm saying? You know, and we not thinking young like how we used to think, you know, like Notorious and just belling without a purpose. No, we stopping and we thinking now. But see, that's a problem because that doesn't sell. So you're now officially washed up, but not really. But in their eyes, you are because you're not pushing their agenda.
Exactly, bro.
That's exactly what it is. You know, bro, I know plenty rappers from my era. And even some before me that can still hang with a lot of these rappers out today. Facts.
Yeah, for sure.
Facts. And in my opinion, probably they may be a little bit more creative because they'll have a message in their music and they'll still make you rock with them.
And a hell of a delivery, yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
but to promote these prisons, you got to have to promote anything. You got to have a commercial. The man Tom Beasley, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of the Corporation for Prison Systems for America. You know what I'm saying? This is what he said. He said they asked him, "How you gonna promote this? How you gonna commercialize the prison system?" He said, "You do it like you do anything else, like you do real estate. You promote that like you do a hamburger franchise. You promote that like how you do a car corporation, anything like that." So that's just what the business did. Are we saying that people that go to prison don't deserve to go to prison if they did a crime? We're not saying that. What we're saying is when you start a business, now you're starting to look for customers. That's a whole nother thing.
You're looking for customers, and it's basically you're setting the system up so that they fail to be automatic customers.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like a trick bag that we never get out of.
What's that rate?
And it wasn't designed for us to get out of it.
What's that rate, Crazy Jack? Tell them that rate that they said they got to have it's in the contract for them too, for the private prison system.
90. They have to have 90%. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. Now this is just another example to show that the powers that be are very, very far along in advance with their agenda.
Oh yeah.
To the point to where it's completely out of our hands. I hate to say it, y'all, but we blew it. Once again, we blew it. We gave up our culture only to have it flipped around and used on us as a weapon to destroy our communities and influence the young minds of our young generation in a negative way.
Yeah.
We were so blind that we didn't even know it. They tricked us with the money and gave us all this stuff. And, a lot of people, forgot about the struggle. But honestly, keeping it 100 though, because I know I just said, they flipped on us, but honestly, keeping it 100, I heard, like we wasn't the ones that glamorized the street life or selling drugs. We simply told our story,
right.
Painting a picture of our struggles and where we came from and what we had to do just to be where we are today. The media glamorized it. They glamorized it. We were simply telling stories of struggle where we came from, and they turned it around and flipped it on us. That's how it all came about.
Yeah.
Real talk.
No, that is really though.
You know what I'm saying? Because, and I heard one of the youngsters out here, I think is it Joyner Lucas? I think that's his name. And he was saying that he blamed the generation.
I seen that.
He blames the generation for like talking about drugs and like glorifying it.
Yeah.
But like I just said, bro, we use this. Hip hop was something totally different when it first started. And this is why you youngsters need to educate yourself on what hip hop was. This is why. Because we didn't glamorize a damn thing. This was our craft. This was our culture. We was telling our story. They saw with money in it. They took it and they pimped it out.
Right.
They glamorized it. We were simply, like I said, telling our story. This is stuff we lived. They took our lives. And made it, it made it seem like to the kids, oh, this is something lovely. Maybe you want to try this.
Yeah.
When we said in a lot of our songs, this ain't what you want to do. Don't be like us. Be better than us. We doing it, telling y'all this, so maybe you can skip this part and try another way.
Yeah, and not even to denote the cat that tried to say, that he blamed the rapper. You know what I'm saying? He on the right trail, but you can't blame the puppet, bro. You got to blame the puppeteer. See, a puppet can't move without no strings if you ever seen a puppet show. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I ain't trying to be funny about nothing like that, but that's just pretty much how this game goes. The puppet cannot move. It's just an empty doll right there until somebody puts up and pulls those strings. So you kind of on the right trail. You just blaming the wrong party about this. Are the MCs doing it? Yeah. That's why they hand select these dudes at 19 and 18 and 17 and 16. It's getting lower and lower because you know what? When you get somebody that never had no money before and you offer them a platform to be doing what they doing, and what they doing right now is a bunch of ignorance. But they don't know that because a lot of cats ain't got no mothers and no fathers. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, if they got a mother, they ain't got no daddy. If they even got that. So you got these dudes who all of a sudden got a large amount of wealth and they basking in ignorance because it's all they know. And I choose to say ignorance, not stupid, because ignorant means you just ain't hip to something. You know what I'm saying? You just ain't wise to the things that's going on around you. So young cats, like my man said earlier, we ain't trying to bash nobody. We ain't upset because young dudes at 16 and 15 is jumping out of Rolls Royces or whatever. I hope for that. I want you to be flourish and have your family and stuff like that. But look at the cost it is costing us. You might not know that, but that's why this show Truth Talk is going on right now.
Check it out. Corrections, Corporations of America.
Yeah.
Which is known as the CCA, which is the biggest name in the private prison industry.
Yep.
They contacted 48 states and offered to buy their prisons. However, the stipulations of the deal stated that before the deal was made,
Here it goes.
they had to ensure that the state that they would be able to maintain a 90% prison capacity a year, meaning they had to guarantee the state that they would be able to keep the prisons full at all times. And who would be the main candidates
Now,
to be put in there? Already know. Blacks, which are the majority, and Latinos. I'm lying.
Now, we can't gloss over that number real quick. 90% occupancy rates. Hell, Best Western and Holiday Inn don't got that. The Waldorf Astoria it's probably equivalent to the Waldorf Astoria. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. Or going to the Ritz-Carlton. 90% mean that snaps.
And then, you know, this is when you have to stop and think, like, how can they possibly ensure that they can keep the prison at a 90% capacity rate? What kind of devilish scheme is they plotting this time? It's always something, man. It's always something.
Yo, and even to go along with that real quick, it's a place in Arizona. It's a prison in Arizona that did not get the 90% occupancy rate. So what had happened, the state had to pay the private prison $3 million. And the state don't like doing that. So what the state is going to turn around and do is they're going to have, that's why they're going to, you see a dude going to jail a little bit longer than he should for something that's like, damn, he went to jail that long for that? That's how they repay that back, because no state wants to pay no $3 million fine or penalty that they must pay to the private system organization.
Now, after this deal was made, 2 months later, an anonymous email was sent out to various but a selective few members of the music and publishing industries that gave an account of a secret meeting that took place where it was determined that hip hop would be manipulated to drive up privatized prison profits.
Damn.
That's the letter we just read. You know, that's the letter that we just read when, you know, like, you know what I'm saying, that same thing we just read. So we already know that 90% of we already know that 90% of what we read, watch, and listen is controlled by only six main media companies.
Mm-hmm.
We spoke about this topic on our weapons of mass destruction episode. So you ever notice how a lot of these new rap artists come out, and before anybody has really heard of them or their music, they're already famous, with millions of followers and all this expensive jewelry, and you like, yo, who the hell is this? Where they come from? It's because I'm a music connoisseur. So I'm usually up on all the hot music and artists all day long, young to old. Plus, we do the Krazyzie show. We play everything from younger to older. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of young cats is coming out of nowhere. And I'm like, yo, how did they gain such massive attention and notoriety this fast, but nobody has heard their music? You know what I'm saying? And that's when that's when we have to remember that the powers that be, they control everything.
Oh yeah.
They control the avenues necessary to manufacture any celebrity and create any trend at any time. Here goes some more facts.
Talk to him.
Time Warner, as the owner of Warner Brothers Records, among many other labels that he owned, can not only sign an artist to a recording contract, but as the owner also of Entertainment Weekly, can see to it that the artist gets the front cover next week. That's a hell of a plug.
Oh, smack dab right in the middle.
That's a hell of a plug. So
that means yeah.
And this is without any consideration of their music whatsoever. The artist will be an overnight star.
Yep.
So they're not signing these artists because they possess extreme talent. Not all of them. Some of them are talented.
Yeah.
But a lot of these artists, they're not signing them because they possess talent. They're signing a lot of these artists because they're great influencers of bullshit.
Yeah.
They're great influencers of bullshit. Excuse my language, but it's the truth. And they're running around blinded But all the diamonds and the money and the women, you know the life.
Yeah.
It's a cycle that just continues to seem to keep going and seem like it's never going to be broken.
You know what? In the coldest part, they tried to even hide their names and put it under an umbrella called the Vanguard Group Incorporated. You know what I'm saying? But just like my man already said with the Time Warner, they one of them, Sony and Universal. Those are the big three right there. And I'm not scared to say them, Sony, Universal, and Time Warner. Those are the ones who have the largest share in the prison system independently for the private prison system. And by the way, the private prison systems, they have out of 150 million inmates incarcerated throughout the U.S. Now it's up to 2.2. They house 8% of that. So, you know what I'm saying? 8% of that, you know what I'm saying? That's what they're doing right now. So they're doing big business. Like I said, they're making $1.7 billion a year on the private prison system alone. And it's going to be gumming up soon. It's going to be getting up a little, the 8%, give it a couple of years, it's going to be at 20%. You know what I'm saying? Because the taxpayers, the initial plan that they had was saying, you know what, it's going to be easier on the taxpayers with the private prison system. Now, due to stats on it, the private prison system costs just as much to a taxpayer as it does to the state and the federal prisons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man.
So there is no, we did this for, it's a break on the citizens. They ain't thinking about no damn citizens, man. They thinking about that 1.7 bill a year, extra money. Plus, the last thing I'll say about this, and you know, ain't the last thing. We'll say where'd all the factories go and all the jobs in the United States go for all that? The United States don't make nothing or manufacture nothing no more. All the factories are closing down. Look in your rural areas, Nebraska to Ohio to even places out here in California. You know where everything's being made at? Engines and toys and cars and all that type of stuff.
Prison.
In the prison. So you can pay them a zero. Talk to them.
That baby, that stroller you pushing your baby in, was made in the prison. That crib she's sleeping in was made in the prison.
Engines for cars, man. Not just license. They got us stuck off those 1930s movies and all that where they was making license plates. They ain't just making no license plates. You know what I'm saying?
So, again, we're not discussing this topic, to deter anybody from pursuing their dreams.
Nah.
Although I know some of y'all sitting back like, damn, like really? Like, yeah. Like, it's pretty much a trap everywhere we go. But here's the thing, you have to continue to live. You have to continue to push on.
Yeah.
You have to continue to live your life. And as long as you're not, crooked like these people is with these agendas, and you're just doing it to make an honest living. Because I don't believe there's a corporation in the world that's big that's not corrupt. You could be working at McDonald's. You may not know the corrupt shit that's going on with the in the paperwork and stuff like that, but I'm sure they done stepped on a couple necks and like did a little dirt to get where they want to be as well. So
Ronald ain't got that perm for nothing.
But you can't. But that ain't to say you shouldn't go. Like all you youngsters, that ain't to say you need to go get a part-time job there because they are crooked. You know what I'm saying? Everything we do, like we're in a system that was created crooked. Yeah. So, we have to live within that system. As long as you're not letting that system rub off on you and like making you crooked like they are, you have to maintain, because I know a lot of people going, because I know a lot of people going to say, oh, well, why are you still in the music business then? Like, nigga, because I'm not doing what these niggas do. Like, I'm taking my gift and I'm using my gift for positivity, regardless to what they do. Just like God is allowing, the police and all these government officials to be in power for the time being. He doesn't condone them being crooked and all the injustice that's going on. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to be a part of that. You can just, make your living, do you, and just don't be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? Because there are many artists, out here that have nothing to do with this so-called Illuminati. Yeah. Everybody ain't sold they sold. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't, everybody ain't, everybody ain't crooked. You know what I'm saying? Like there are certain individuals that have agendas and they're pushing them, but you can't ball up and just start living your life like a hermit and just, just stop going out and just stop doing things. You know what I'm saying? It's, if that was the case, I wouldn't be able to maintain in this music industry like I do. You know what I'm saying?
Really though.
Already knowing that we bailing against the we marching against the wind, rough winds, heavy winds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's pushing us back at every chance they get. But we got to keep moving forward. It's a must that we keep moving forward.
We got to,
and I'm not saying this to make people want to uprise and rebel and go marching and all that, because I think I told y'all before, to me, protesting and all that does nothing. They have their plan already in place. If y'all don't if y'all don't understand that this is part of Bible prophecy, it's going to happen regardless of what y'all do.
The wheels is in.
You can run around. We shall overcome till you can't sing no more. What's going to happen is still going to take place because it's God's plan.
Yeah.
It may seem messed up now, but all these things have to happen for God to roll in his plan. They have to happen.
Yeah.
They have to. What you're witnessing has to take place. And it's not for us to go jump up in the middle and try to protest. Oh, this is wrong, because you won't win. You're not going to take the government down.
Yeah, this ain't no race.
It's not going to happen.
This ain't no race war. It ain't nothing like that. Like my man say, it ain't that. And the things, all this do lead up to, saying when you trust in God, we talking about some ugly things. But you know what I'm saying? I told my man too. I told it to him because I'm reading a lot of the comments. Be careful. Y'all talking about things that a lot of people come up missing with and all that kind of stuff. And I said to my cat, I said, you know what? I would be worried if I didn't, know who God was through his son Christ. You know what I'm saying? I would be nervous about these things, because this is some stuff that people don't want people to listen to. Yeah, they don't want nobody to talk about this. They want us to continue to talk about what's Cardi B doing, what's Love and Hip Hop doing, and nothing's wrong with those people in those shows, but they will want to twist us against those people like that. Not saying nothing's wrong with those things, but they want to keep us on what's going on over there so that we can be ignorant and blind to what thus says the Lord. You know what I'm saying? When it's a simple kind of plan, so I'm not worried about my life or nothing like that. We have conversation about the black van. We be playing about that a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But it's still, I know that it's out there. Those are elements that want to destroy and come against, you know what I'm saying, especially young dudes like us telling this thing, because we could be up here talking about some of the silliest shit that you could ever want to hear. But those aren't the things we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, this is what it is, man.
Y'all need to, like we always tell you on every show, you just need to know, we just wanted to give you information about this, because I know some of y'all still want to pursue the music business. Like I said, do your thing. Just don't get caught up in all this, all this drama here, the whole, what they call it, the Illuminati thing, which is which always has been propaganda to me, you know what I'm saying? But, you never know, man. Like, when you read these things about the agenda and all these things, you can't put anything past the government, for the simple fact we know what they done to have America be the world power. We know, they ain't get there by passing our roses.
Sure ain't.
They ain't get there by passing our roses.
Saying excuse me.
Yeah, or saying excuse me. They got there by brutal, blunt force. Bottom line,
they the crabs in the barrel.
We know this.
It made it seem like we is the crabs in the barrel. They the ones that's gonna step over a burial ground and build something on that. You know what I'm saying? But
yes, indeed.
Even the stat. And the last thing I'll say on this: the $36,299.25. That's what they're getting paid to house every 2.2 million inmates that is incarcerated in the United States.
Oh, yeah?
Do the math on that, man. That's $94.
How much them prisons go?
That's $94.82 on the real. They on the NASDAQ. That's something. Hey, I'd rather if I didn't,
niggas better watch out.
If I didn't care, I'd rather bet on that than pork bellies, because that's a for show shot. Prison is a for show shot.
For sure.
That's not even like playing the NASDAQ or playing the stock market. Hell, you can bet on that you can put $100 in there. It's going to double in the next year. You're going to have a lot more money because prisons are going to continue to get built. That's why you see all these fires they're talking about just all of a sudden happen, fire season. Yeah, that's making room. Because see, a tree can't grow back. It take a tree about 100 years to grow to its full capacity or more.
Check it out, y'all. Y'all make sure y'all follow up on what we've telling y'all. There's a lot of articles online about the whole. It's no secret.
Yeah. It's
no secret. But I just wonder how come more of us don't know about this. Why? Because we've been blinded. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, it's so simple. It's so simple and it's so clear what happened. We talk about it all the time. Give them money, they'll forget about the struggle.
Oh, yeah.
And ever since rappers have been making money, lots of money,
A lot of it.
the less you hear about the struggle.
Hey, the dope gonna sedate you too.
You know what I'm saying? The less you hear about the struggle, and we just want to, like, just make sure y'all understand this. Live your life in all means, but as long as you have this knowledge, you'll be prepared and know what you're walking into. You know what I'm saying? You have to be prepared. You have to know what you're dealing with. Now is even more of a time to make sure you know the business. Make sure you know the business. Don't just get into it because, they're looking for these. They're looking to keep our kids in the dark. Man, if you think about it, everything is set up like it's really aimed and set up at the kid, at the younger generation. Starting with school.
Yeah.
Starting with school. If you think about it, parents, if you think about it from what? When do kids start school? Like 5 years old? From 5 to 18.
Something like that.
From 5 to 18, your children are in the hands of the government up until they're 18 because they're in school more than they're with you. By the time they come home from school and do their homework and you get home from work and everybody go to sleep, they're putting in more time with your kids than you are. So they're putting in all kinds of crazy messages about who discovered America and all this bullshit. They're putting all this into their heads because they're spending more time. They designed this to where they're spending more time with your kids than you are. So they can put their agenda in their head and your kids can come and question you from what you done taught them. Yeah, but Daddy, and my teacher said, I don't give a damn what your teacher says. Yeah. This is what I'm telling you. Like real talk. That's how you got to get.
That's 8 hours a day, not even including detention.
Real talk.
You know what I'm saying? That they spend with your kid.
Check it out, y'all. We thank y'all for joining us for another episode of Truth Talks. I hope, everybody get the message and you go do this research for yourself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We thank the followers, like my dude said earlier, because